Hi, so a question I get asked not infrequently is, what position should I sleep in? Now, I'm going to give you two answers. I'm going to give you the flippant and glib answer, and then I'll give you a longer answer. So the flippant and glib answer is, what are you going to do about it? You're asleep. It seems really obvious, doesn't it? But you obviously move a lot in your sleep. So whatever position you think you ought to sleep in, half an hour later of being asleep, you could have rolled anywhere. So I'm Adrian. I'm a full-time teacher of the Alexander Technique. And the longer answer I want to give you is the actual position you sleep in doesn't matter a great deal, with a bit of common sense. It's more about the quality of your sleep, which is going to mostly be affected by the quality of your awakeness. So you'll carry the quality of your nervous system during your waking hours into your sleep. If you've ever seen small animals, I was going to say pets, dogs and cats asleep, they sleep in some crazy positions. Small children, I've got two daughters, 8 and 10, certainly from being babies, but it still happens. You go in the morning to get them up and they're in some ridiculous positions and it doesn't do them any harm. And I think there's a couple of reasons for this. One of which is their nervous systems haven't built up, huge amounts of habitual tension. So that when they're in an odd position, if you want to call it that, the position itself isn't fighting inbuilt tension. And when that happens, when your position's pulling against an already tight muscle, that's when we wake up feeling quite sore. The other is to a degree to do with size, levers and pulleys. The sheer mass of a dog, a cat, a child, the length of an arm, or the length of their spine, that there tends to be less tension put in through a position. So I'm tallish, I'm 6'1". I would generally recommend, the taller you are, to have a firmer bed, just as common sense really. So you're not dealing with that curvature. If your bed's sagging, because it's soft, then you don't have to deal with that on a physical level. So there's some common sense. I'm not suggesting everyone idealised is going to go to bed, even with Alexander lessons, perfectly, with a nice neutral, quiet nervous system and muscle tone, because that's not life. And we're always working on it and improving on it, and and then we have a bad day. We all have a bad day. Who doesn't have a bad day? And we might take some of that into sleep. So it's useful to have, what we might call in the Alexander Technique mechanical advantage. We usually use that in terms of sitting and standing, but you could use the same phrase for being well supported by your bed. And your pillow, because a pillow is really there to take the strain from here to your shoulder. Obviously the shoulder tends to, we sag it into the mattress a bit, even a firm mattress, we do bed in a bit, excuse the pun. And the pillow's there to take that gap. But of course you might end up sleeping on your front or your back if you've moved, and at the end of the day, just don't sweat it. So that's the longer answer. So work on yourself during your waking hours will help your sleeping hours. It will probably help you sleep better itself. Now, one thing you can do to help with that is by doing what we call constructive rest or semi-supine, which is lying on your back with your knees up, book under your head. I'll link to something, an article I have on that, on how to do constructive rest. I'll put it in the description below. But a good time to do that would be just before you go to bed, because we often go to bed very much kind of stressed out. I must go to sleep. And of course you can't. If you spend 10-15 minutes quieting yourself down with constructive rest beforehand, before you get into bed, you'll be nicely released physically, but also mentally, in your nervous system quieter, so you're more prepared to then just drop off to sleep. So that's another good bit of constructive advice of something you can do to help your sleeping. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. If you would like to take online Alexander lessons, you just get in touch with me and we'll have a chat and see if we can help. All right, take care. Bye.